Leo Rutherford. Goes into the camera.
Oh, okay.
I'll just put it in front of you.
Okay. I'm technophobic. That's one thing about being my age. Okay. Hello, everybody. Nice to be here. And yeah, I'm improbable. I'm a bit improbable because I've been a practitioner of shamanism actually now for 32 years, but a therapist of some kind or other for about 37 or something like that. And I come from a family of lawyers in Liverpool, and there's a few Scousers here, ain't there? Yeah. Well, I come from the Wirral, you know, it's the posh part, Beckenhead. And by a whole stroke of things, see, I went into engineering. I was an engineer for 20 years. I wasn't too keen on people. After 10 years of boarding school, I would class myself as next door to insane, because that's, after all, the training. And so engineering, well, dealing with machines. I could understand machines. I couldn't bloody well understand people. I did that for 20 years, and it ended up in a midlife crisis. What a creative time. So loads of therapy, and which led me to 5 years living in the great melting pot place, San Francisco. And towards the end of my time repairing myself from the mess that I was. Anybody here ever been a mess? I know, silly question. And anyway, repairing myself. I was doing a degree at university on holistic psychology, MA in holistic psychology, and one of the courses was on shamanism. And that was like opening a window to me, because the ancients' understanding of the human condition was just so much wider and deeper than the Western. So I shifted and I started following the shamanic way. And over time, again, by some sort of very strange things that happened, I ended up as a practitioner. I suddenly found myself in 1987 full-time employed doing this. And I'm still trying to get it right. You know that feeling? So the shamanic way of understanding the universe in very simple terms, a part of it in very simple terms. We're here in the middle world. There is a lower world, been demonized as the underworld, but that's the world of the emotional stuff. And there's an upper world, spirit. And we're in the middle. Okay, this is about inspiration. So I'm going to tell you a couple of stories. Is that all right? So you all sitting uncomfortably. I much prefer it when people are sitting uncomfortably. Well, they don't go to sleep then. Once upon a no time, in the no place, nowhere, lived absolutely nothing. Oh, this, by the way, is a brief history of the universe in 1 minute and 52 seconds. And the absolutely nothing had lived in eternity forever. And do you know what happened in eternity? Nothing. There was no time, there was no thing, there was nothing. The absolutely nothing was absolutely bored stiff. And so finally, on a good no day, when all the stars and astrology was all in the right no place, the absolutely nothing did the only thing nothing could do to become something, which is it split itself into two opposite parts. The yin, we know them as the yin and the yang, or the feminine and the masculine. And we all know what kind of trouble comes when the feminine and the masculine get together. Trouble, not really the right word, but things start to happen. A dance starts to happen. All the polarities, up, down, left, right, good, bad, all the polarities. And so a dance began. Things began to happen, and the absolutely nothing was so pleased that something was happening that it began to laugh, wouldn't you? And realizing that it was on the verge of becoming absolutely everything, it laughed and it laughed and it laughed. It laughed so big, it burst in a great big bang and became a universe in space and time. This is where we cut the story a few billion years short, because here we are. Third rock out from a very average star on sort of outerish rim of a very average galaxy, the Milky Way, amongst trillions of galaxies. And we're wondering how we got here. We tend to wonder how we got here and what we're doing here. So that's not the end of the story, because the story doesn't end. Because it's eternal. It goes on forever. Or at least our story goes on until the sun goes supernova and bursts and swallows the solar system. But that's quite a long time away. I'm reading a book about time by a quantum physicist. I'm getting to the stage where I can't understand what the hell he's talking about. So I'm going to leave that bit. So look, the shamanic way it's about many things. It's about how the universe works, how the powers that act upon us. It's also about multi-level consciousness and about touching into the states of consciousness that we can achieve. So here's a little story about that. It's about a comedian and a dummy. Isn't that right? Yes. Okay. Now, this is told by a 10-year-old boy. 10-year-old boy, his father is a scriptwriter, and the scriptwriter goes to see the comedian that he works for, and his son goes along with him. They go to the hotel where the comedian is staying, and they go up to his room, and lo and behold, the door's open, and they hear voices. And so they go in politely, quietly, and to their surprise, they find there's only one person in the room, the comedian. He's facing the other way, and he and the dummy are having a conversation. His father realizes quickly it's not one of his scripts, doesn't recognize the words. In fact, then they realize it's not actually a funny comedy script at all. They're talking about the deep meanings of life. And the strangest thing of all is that the wisdom is coming from the dummy. Isn't that right? Yes. Me. Not a very realistic dummy, but never mind. And after a bit, the moment is broken, somebody coughs or something, and talking about it afterwards, the comedian says, yes, okay, it may be, the dummy may be just wooden and bits and pieces and so on, but when I talk to this little guy, he says, this little guy tells me things I can't possibly know. How can that be? He's contacted something inside himself that knows more, and we all have that. We all have a knowing place inside if we can get the monkey mind out of the way and we can contact the deep wisdom. An author came to see me a year or two back. He was having a big puzzle. He was having a puzzle because he was struggling with a book, Indian man, struggling with a book about the Bhopal incident in India. And he was having real difficulty with the writing because he was writing it from the point of view of the people who suffered. A whole lot of people suffered, really. And then one of the characters popped up in his mind and said, this is my story, let me write the book. And this kept happening, and he got very puzzled about it. And he said, he gave the character an identity on Facebook, and he'd even started writing a letter to the publisher as if it was from the character. Only then he talked to his wife, and his wife said, no, they won't see the joke. So he didn't. But he made up his mind, yes, okay. So he let the character write the book. He said the writing from that moment went on easy. The book is called Animals, People, and it's a really interesting, excellent book. Again, he had found a place of wisdom inside himself. Now, in the shamanic work, we do a thing called shamanic journeying, which is, in a way you can say, it's meditation with a drum. It's meditation from a very specific point of view, that it's intended to open the visual doors within ourselves with a drum beat, allowing ourselves to go into deep meditation with an intention initially to find an animal within. Now then, look, we're all civilized people, aren't we? We're all civilized. We live in this civilized place. I might run out of words now. But the thing is this. It doesn't matter how civilized, quotes please, or how suited and tied a person may be. Within all of us, there is a wildness just waiting to get out. Yeah, hey, you know that, don't you? You all know that. So, an animal is a pure energy. A tiger is pure tiger. A deer is pure deer. A mouse is pure mouse. A serpent. Oh, the serpent's got such bad press, didn't it? The serpent got bad press for tempting Eve. Hey, here's a question for you. You all know the Bible? Well, you might. It's old stuff. The serpent tempts Eve to eat of the tree of knowledge. And Eve, in the story, gives in and eats of this naughty thing, the apple of knowledge. Now, what would not exist? I'm talking mythologically, of course. But what would not exist if Eve hadn't eaten of the apple? You lot, me, humans would not exist. Because that story, the serpent tempts Eve, right? To knowledge. The animal becomes human by gaining what? Self-knowledge, self-reflective. We look in the mirror and we see ourselves and we think, my God, is my hair all right? You know, have I got my beard okay? Is my makeup okay? Oh, I'm a bit short of makeup. But you know what I mean. But animals don't do that. They just are who they are. The human journey. The human journey tempted by the serpent who crawls along the surface. Are you waving at me? She's waving at me. I am the foggiest on time. I'm not very good on time. As I said, I'm reading a book about it. I can't. Anyway, the serpent, the Kundalini energy, rising. Okay. Hey, here's another story. Very quick one. It's not the history of the universe. Okay. 33, very important number. Do you know the Masons and other secret societies, they all have a 33rd degree as the top. The top of the, right? Jesus, the story of Jesus lived for 33 years and reached the place of Golgotha, the skull. Why? 33 bones in the spine. It's about the Kundalini, the latent serpent energy, getting it to rise until it comes into the head and we get crucified. No, the ego gets crucified and the spiritual being lives. That's what that story really means. Ho, thank you for listening.